Welcome to issue 5 of the Flying Scotsman locomotive. In this issue we're going to be doing the left chassis frame and bushes. We've done this before on another side, so what could possibly go wrong? So hello, welcome to issue 5 of Build the Flying Scotsman. This is our parts for issue 5, so let's have a look. Hopefully they'll come out easier than the last one. And some of these parts you will recognise, and some you will be like, there's not as much. So no, there is not as much as last week, but essentially it is the same as the previous issue. So we have got part 16, the left chassis frame. As you can see, it looks pretty much the same as the right chassis frame, but obviously it's going to be mirrored. And then we get 3 bushes, and it also says, it didn't state this in the last issue, but it did say we will need these 2 screws that we've saved from issue 4. So if you remember, I put those into the spaces so that I wouldn't lose them. And in hindsight, that was a really good move, I think. So, as always, let's cut the pieces from the fret, or should I say the piece, and then we'll clean that up, and then I will see you in a moment. Okay, so we've cleaned up the parts. So if you remember, what we did last week was we put these bushes in, and we have to do the same again. And what we need to be doing is, that's almost a fit, that's not nearly a fit, and that is almost a fit. So what we have to do, same as we did last issue, we need to just enlarge these holes just ever so slightly. We will then put these bushes into the hole, and then we will add super glue. So what I'm going to do is, it's obviously going to be quite boring watching me do this, so I'm going to speed up just the enlarging of the holes. Okay. Okay, so they're in place. So next stage is we're just going to push them out like so. That one's come all the way out. This just goes to show, actually, if you just get just a couple of strokes, this doesn't take an awful lot off, but if you go just a couple of strokes too many, you see how loose it is. Just a couple of strokes, that was all it took. So let's see if we can do a better job than last time. So we'll put a big dollop of glue onto there, and then we'll get our cocktail stick. Just make sure the glue lid is done up, and then one cocktail stick, and I'm just going to put three reasonable sized dobs of glue on that little piece, and then we'll push that in, and then 3 onto there. I'm just going 3, you can go all the way round if you want, but I think this just needs enough just to hold it in. That's a really stiff one, that was. And this one I might just put a tiny bit more than normal, because this is quite a loose one. But when I say more, what I mean is not more glue, because more glue doesn't make it stick any faster, but instead of having 3 points of contact, I'm just going to have 4. So let's give them a little test. That's in, that's definitely in, and that was really stiff anyway. Sometimes it got stiff and sometimes it wasn't. Right, so that's that part done. They're glued in. So the next stage is to just like we did before, we have 2 screw holes there and there, so we need to make sure that they're big enough for the screws to go through. And the way we do that is that we take one of the screws that we have left, say, from last week, and I guess you know what's coming, so we're going to pop this screw into there like so, and I think I may actually have to make this bigger, because we won't have that spacer coming in from the other side quite so easily like we did in the previous issue, we're going to have to be bringing this to meet the spacer. So we do need to make sure this is going in. Do you know what, actually that's gone in fine now. So we've got this in. That's the first screw in place. There we go, that's lovely. And then I see that's not going to fall out. And I wonder if this one will be nice and easy like the previous one. I don't know if you remember or if you even noticed, but one required a little tiny bit of filing, and this one, just like it is now, was going in a piece of cake. And I wouldn't suggest attaching your pieces of metal with pieces of cake. That was a terrible joke, wasn't it? So there we go, that's it. So let's do a dry fit first. What we need to do is bring this piece into there like so, and it's going to be slightly tricky because we need to line up these pieces there, yet these screws are actually poking in the way, so we've got to do the best we can. So I can see, looking right, so we've got 3 holes to line up. We've got one there, a little shelf there, and then one there. And if we bring that in, I don't know if you'll see this on camera, but that looks like it's going to be a fantastic fit. And then the same with this one, 1 2 3 4 tabs, 1 2 3 4, and that looks like it's going to be a fantastic fit. Now I don't think this is going to be needing any glue. It is asking us to glue, and I am going to glue, but I really don't think it needs it. So I'm just going to put the tiniest amount. The reason we put the glue on last time was to hold these in place, and as you can see, we are, when we place this on, we've got 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 places that we need to line up, as well as 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 places on the back, and by gluing them in place, there's 7 places that we don't have to worry about. So we only have to worry about the 9. So as I say, I don't think this needs any glue, but I think that by adding glue it will just assist us a little bit. So I'm just going to put a very, very thin amount of glue along these top edges, and then I'm going to place this on top, lining up the holes, and I'm just going to pop the screws in just a tiny bit, not fully. You need to act fairly fast, because if we haven't lined these plates up properly, then they're going to be stuck in the wrong place. Right, that one seems lined up, and so I'm going to screw this screw up nice and tight, and that doesn't want to go in because it's not lined up. So you see, I'm having a bit of a struggle, because if you get something not lined up properly, it's not going to happen. Right, so there we go. Right, I actually left that one so long the glue didn't stick. The glue's actually dried, so that's not a major problem. So I will carry on with the front. I will focus on the front, and I'm not going to screw this in fully. I just need to check my alignments. Yep, they're all in place. And I've got a feeling I'm screwing the wrong side there. There we go. So front bit's nice and happy. They don't want to fall out too easily. The back is a little bit wobbly, so I'm going to see if tightening that up helps, which it doesn't. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to loosen the back to the point that it almost falls off if it wants to. This is the problem I have with Phillips screwdrivers. They just don't want to seem to work for me. I mean, it's got to be something I've done, because people have been using Phillips flathead screwdrivers for years. Right, so I can actually pull that open enough that I can reapply glue to that. Again, I'm not convinced we need the glue. I think the glue is just acting to hold the piece in place while we screw it in. Once it's screwed in, then obviously it's not going anywhere. Right. So let's place that into place. And I'll just hold that there for a few seconds, like so, and that's sticking much better. So then I can redo this screw up. There we go. Actually, this piece that's come undone, it was actually the original, the previous issue that I've done. So what I'm going to do, nice big long piece of masking tape. This is an optional stage, and I don't think it'll make much difference to the build. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mask this nice and tight, and we can leave that overnight, and then that will give that a chance to set, which then brings us to the end of the issue. So this is issue 5 complete, and I think issue 5 is a good opportunity to have a bit of a recap, have a little bit of a play. So what we have assembled so far is we have a driver's cab, we have a footplate, and then we have these, they're calling them chassis pieces, chassis frame, and then we also have this little piece left over, which I'm sure we'll use at some stage. And I also want to talk about, while I try to assemble this, this is only a rough assembly, but as you know, I was a little bit convinced that that is the way it goes, and I am still convinced that's the way it goes, because that slots in there beautifully, and I would suspect that this goes on there somewhere like that, somewhere along there. I'm not sure exactly where. Let's see if I can see that the wheels are going there, so let's have a look at the final picture. So it looks to me like the cab is going to be roughly in, it's going to be behind that, it's going to be roughly there, I think. So this is, after 5 issues, what we have. Oh, sorry, I'm totally off camera. So this is roughly what it's going to look like. So bit of a beast already. So what have we learned? This is obviously a completely different part work than what we are used to, because it's an older part work. So it's actually fair to say that the guys that have been doing part works for many years, they're looking at the part works that I've been doing and going, that's something that I'm not used to. But this, so the first thing I've learned is that, as you can see there, solder irons are extremely hot, and so is a hot air blower. I actually managed to burn my finger when I was doing issue 0, which turned out to be a failure, so I burnt my finger for no reason. The next thing that I learned, thank you to P40F20, is the way that super glue works. I think for many years we've been taking super glue for granted. We just pick up a bottle of super glue and we apply the super glue and it sticks whatever we want it to stick, and we've always taken for granted that that super glue is there. But do we actually understand how it works? So I had a little lesson from P40F20 and I've been able to apply that lesson. So as you can see, this piece was put together with marine weld because I knew from my understanding of super glue that it wouldn't work. But this piece here, where the bond didn't need to be as strong and there wouldn't be so many shear forces, this was absolutely perfect. So there is a place for super glue even in old school modelling, but just not in every place. And I've also learnt, although I feel that I am a patient person, I felt that this build does require patience. There's an awful lot of cleaning to do, because you have these parts that if they will oxidize, and once things oxidize, dirt really isn't a good, it basically is your enemy. So you need to remove dirt and oxidization. To be honest with you, I shouldn't be touching it the way that I am, because the grease and dirt from my fingers is getting on the model. But I think there's no point in making anything unless you're going to progress yourself as a person. You know, you're learning something, or you're flexing old skills that maybe were starting to get rusty. This has really tested me, and I also feel, especially putting these bushes in, I've had 2 really good gym workouts. So we are in difficult times and gyms are hard to go to, and can you believe that I've managed to combine my hobby with keep fit? Who would have thought it? So guys, so we are going to do issue 6 in the next issue, and I can see that without opening the magazine, we are going to be playing with some more brass parts. That's all I can really tell you without opening the magazine. So looks like I'm going to need my photo etch bender, and possibly some glue, or oh, there's a lump there. Can I feel a lump? I think there's a lump in there. Ooh, can't wait to open that one. So guys, I will see you in the next video when we will be doing issue 6. Take care guys, bye bye.